All right, so we are kind of on between slide 6 and 7 now. And so in slide 6, I had a picture up there that was showing all of those osteons, and we had said that we had the layers of matrix, that hydroxyapatite matrix there, which is the calcium phosphate. And we had said to give it extra strength, you have collagen fibers embedded in that stuff. And we had said that we have the central canal that was somehow connected to the medullary cavity. So if we sort of back out from that really microscopic view to a little bit larger view, but not as large as, a full bone, we can look at my diagram, and on this side, this is representing the medullary cavity. And we said that's filled with yellow marrow and blood vessels and nerves. And we said somehow that stuff spreads throughout the bone tissue. Well, it ends up, you have a system of canals. So you have a system of canals. So those blood vessels will leave the medullary cavity through what we call a perforating canal. And that goes out and connects to no telling how many osteons, but I've just drawn one osteon up here. And I'd said, you see the blood and the blood vessels and things would be filling this perforating canal, and some of them would be extending up through that osteon. And so through the central canal in the middle of that osteon. And we'd said that's how we get the blood to there. But we know cells need a closer blood supply than that. Remember, we were, with the skin, we talked extensively about that. So you have to get the blood from the central canal out to the little lacunae with the osteocytes. And so in order to do that, we have things called canaliculi. Little teeny tiny canals, that's what they are. And so if you look on slide number 7, you can see the perforating canals and you can see the central canals. And then you have to go to this, how do I do it? It's to there. You see that thing there, that little round circle there? Look at that and realize what it is. This is where they've gone in really high magnification. And so from the central canal extending out to each of those lacunae, we have these little canaliculi. And that's how you're getting the blood gases, the waste, the food, everything that's needed for that little cell, that little osteocyte living in his little house. That's how you do it. And then the blood flows, back the same way. So in and out. All right. I don't have a picture for this, but I don't know how you draw beams. So anyway, slide number 8 is talking about that other bone tissue, the one we call spongy bone. And I know at least some of you, I have shown in the lab a human bone where you could see the spongy bone where the compact bone had worn off. It was very thin because it was an old person's bone. So spongy bone consists of structures, beam-like structures called trabeculae. Trabeculae, trabeculae. And little beams is what it means in Latin. And in there, you say, well, there is no medullary cavity in that region, but you don't need it, right? Because you have these little beams and the blood vessels can go in and around and over and under all of these things. So it's highly vascular. As a matter of fact, this is where we have the red bone marrow. And I said, this is where blood cells are made. But you know science, we don't call it blood cell making. We call it homeopoiesis. Yeah, I know. Don't you love these names? So Hemopoiesis, that is the process of building red blood cells. And this is the primary site for blood cell production in your bone. So that's one of the functions of bone, is to make blood. And it's done in the red bone marrow, between the little trabeculae in the spongy bone regions of some long bones, the proximal ends, like the head of your femur, and is one of the ones that we always mention. So when you hear of people breaking their hip, what they're really breaking is the head of the femur off the surgical neck. And sometimes people die from it, and I know it's related to this other function of bone. Okay, so in addition to making blood cells, I was looking at my time. In addition to making blood cells, another function, major function of bone. So we said bone is, I didn't say it yet, but you probably know, it's support, it provides a structural support for your body, right? Everyone intuitively knows that. And then we said it's the site of blood cell production, homeopoiesis, and it plays a huge role in calcium ion homeostasis. So it's the place for storing calcium ions when you have excess, so that when you need them, you can go get them. And so if that is the case, I'd said we have bone cells, and I'd even mentioned one that is used to build bone, osteoblast, with a B, B-L-A-S-T. So these are the cells that are used to build bone, but we said that calcium is being put there so that if you need it later on, you can pull it out. So we have to have another kind of a bone cell that is there to remove calcium phosphate matrix so that you can release the calcium ions. And these bone cells are called osteoclast with a C, C-L-A-S-T. So the osteoclast dissolve bone, the osteoblast build bone, and their job is to function in maintaining a constant level of calcium ions for other physiological purposes, right? Okay, so let me see. Oh, okay, so we have osteoprogenitor cells. Progenitor, that's stem cell. So we have this other cell, and that's going to be used when do you think? Yeah, fetal development. Fetal development and growth. You've got to have a kind of cell that is used to produce other bone cells, and that's going to be called an osteoprogenitor cell. And that means our next topic is going to be bone formation. So, osteogenesis in the beginning, all that. Okay.